At my own bridal shower, my mother-in-law stood up, raised a glass, and said loudly, "Here's to hoping she learns how to be a wife before the big day." Everyone laughed. I spent the rest of the night in the bathroom, crying. 3 months later, after the wedding fell apart, she tried to blame me, but I had the receipts, the screenshots, and the final say. I'm 30 now, but this all started a little over a year ago, in Fort Lauderdale. I met Daniel at a charity event. I wasn't even supposed to go. I was covering for a friend who couldn't make it. He was one of those guys that turns heads when he walks in. Tall, always dressed like he just came from a GQ shoot, and incredibly smooth. The kind of guy who knows what to say, how to say it, and when to lean in and make you feel like you're the only one in the room. 6 months in, he proposed on a beach at sunset. Literal rose petals in the sand. I said yes. My friends warned me that it seemed too fast. My mom gave me the whole, "just make sure you know him" talk. But Daniel seemed perfect. Enter Patty. His mother. The first time I met her was at their family's Christmas dinner. I walked in with a bottle of wine and a little homemade bread I baked. Patty opened the door, gave me a once-over, and said, "Oh. You're not what I pictured." I smiled like an idiot. Should have walked out right then. She spent that night critiquing every word I said. She corrected how I pronounced Gouda. Told me I ate like someone who was used to paper plates. I tried to be polite. I told Daniel afterward, and he laughed. Said, "She's just like that with new people." But she wasn't like that with Daniel's ex. Yes, I learned later he'd been engaged before. She still talked to that woman. Still met her for brunch. Still called her by a nickname. When I brought it up, Daniel said, "She's like a daughter to her. You can't expect her to just cut ties." Apparently, I was supposed to compete with a ghost. A ghost his mom was still feeding mimosas and sympathy. Still, I pushed forward. Picked a venue, picked a date, picked a dress that made me cry, in the good way. I wanted the marriage more than the wedding. Or at least, that's what I told myself. Patty inserted herself into everything. She made comments like, "Maybe go for an A-line dress, it hides more flaws." She tried to get us to use her caterer, even though they literally served burnt chicken at her daughter's wedding. She wanted Daniel's ex to attend the wedding. Said, it would mean a lot to me. I said no. She pouted for a week. Then came the bridal shower. My best friend Ellie hosted it in Boca. It was perfect, sweet decorations, pastel-themed, cupcakes with our initials. Everyone was warm and happy and full of love. Until Patty stood up. Right in the middle of the room, right after we'd done a little open the gifts moment, she lifted her champagne glass and said, clear as day, "Here's to hoping she learns how to be a wife before the big day." People froze. Then laughed. Some nervously. Some, like her 2 sisters, laughed way too hard. I looked at Daniel's cousin, who mouthed, "WTF." My aunt squeezed my hand. I excused myself and locked myself in the bathroom. I cried so hard I shook. I texted Daniel. "Your mom just humiliated me in front of everyone." He didn't reply for 2 hours. When he finally did, all he said was, "I'm sure she didn't mean it like that. Don't be so sensitive." I should have ended it then. But weddings have a momentum. And I'd already paid deposits. That night, while I cried myself to sleep, something hardened in me. 3 weeks before the wedding, I found Daniel's texts. It started when he left his phone on the kitchen counter while he was showering. A notification popped up from a number saved as D. At first, I didn't think anything of it. But I glanced. The preview read, "I miss your hands on me." My heart dropped. I opened the thread. And there it was. Hundreds of messages. He had been cheating. With a woman named Diane. A coworker. Apparently, it had been going on for months. Since before the bridal shower. And he wasn't even being careful. Screenshots. Photos. A hotel confirmation. He called her baby girl. Told her he couldn't wait to be free from the bridezilla. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I started collecting. I took screenshots of everything. Forwarded messages to my email. Saved photos. Compiled every shred of evidence I could. Then I called my best friend Ellie, and said, I need a plan. Because if his mother wanted a show, I was going to give her the finale she deserved. I didn't confront him right away. Instead, I got quiet. I smiled more. I made him think everything was normal. That I was still the same girl crying in the bathroom after his mother's toast. I think he liked that version of me, hurt, small, willing to take it. But inside, I was building a storm. I called the venue and asked about cancellation policies. I learned we could get about 40% back if we canceled within the next 2 weeks. I checked with vendors and slowly started to unravel the web. Quietly. And I started telling people the truth. My people. My mom. Ellie. A few close friends. One by one, I let them in on what was really going on. I showed them the texts. The screenshots. Everyone was stunned, but no one was surprised. Daniel had always seemed too slick. Then I learned something that lit the match. One of my old coworkers had once worked with Diane. The woman Daniel was cheating with. She told me Diane had been at Patty's house more than once. For dinner. That Patty knew about her. And worse? Patty had liked her. Had told her, maybe you'll be the one to finally tame him. I saw red. This wasn't just a cheating fiancé. This was a family who never wanted me there. A mother-in-law who wanted me gone, and a son who didn't even have the guts to admit it. So I changed the plan. I wasn't just going to cancel the wedding. I was going to burn it down in front of them. We had a rehearsal dinner scheduled the Friday before the wedding at a nice Italian place downtown. I didn't cancel it. I let everyone come. I invited everyone. And I prepared. I had a slideshow set up under the excuse of a sweet journey of our love. Ellie helped. She told the venue to cue it up on the projector just before dessert. I walked in wearing a white cocktail dress, holding Daniel's hand, smiling at Patty like we were the picture-perfect couple. Patty kissed my cheek. You look nice, she said, like she was surprised. Thanks, I smiled back. You do too. Let's make tonight special. She clinked her wine glass against mine. To the future Mrs. Manning. Oh, honey. When the plates were cleared, and the wine was flowing, I stood up and said, thank you all for being here. We thought it would be nice to take a look back at our journey. They dimmed the lights. The projector clicked on. At first, it was sweet. Us at the beach. Selfies from vacations. Laughing, hugging, smiling. Then, the texts. Big and bold on the screen, I miss your hands on me. The room froze. Then came a screenshot of Daniel telling Diane he couldn't wait to get away from the Ice Queen, followed by photos of them in bed. Hotel confirmation. Him saying, my mom says you're better than the last one. Gasps. Some whispers. Someone actually said, oh my God. I turned and looked at Daniel. He was frozen. Mouth open. Face pale. I looked at Patty. She was red. Like crimson. Like every drop of blood had rushed to her face in a single wave. I said, since everyone's here, I thought you should all know the wedding is off. Patty, I hope Diane knows how to cook, since you're so worried about me learning how to be a wife. Silence. Then my dad stood up and clapped. One by one, my friends followed. Ellie was full on grinning. My aunt gave me a thumbs up. Patty was shaking. Daniel finally spoke. You ruined me. I walked over, picked up my wine glass, and said, "No, Daniel. You did that all by yourself." I left. But the story wasn't over yet. Because Patty, she didn't stay quiet. She tried to pin everything on me. I thought the rehearsal dinner bombshell would be the end. It wasn't. 2 days later, I started getting texts. From old friends, distant relatives, even coworkers. All the same tone: "Hey, I just saw Patty's Facebook post, what's going on?" I logged in. I hadn't even thought about checking. There it was. A long, scathing paragraph, posted publicly to her profile. It's heartbreaking to see someone you welcomed into your family destroy your son's life for attention. This isn't the whole story. There are always two sides. Daniel made mistakes, but so did she. Some people crave drama more than love. I wish her peace, and maybe therapy. The comments were worse. Her sisters, same ones who laughed at the bridal shower toast, were chiming in. We always knew she wasn't ready for marriage. She had an attitude from day one. Poor Daniel. He didn't deserve this. And they were tagging people. Dragging me through the digital mud. I didn't respond. Not right away. I needed this done right. See, what Patty didn't know was that I wasn't the only one Daniel was cheating with. The woman named Diane? She wasn't his first affair. Just the most recent. And there was another one. A waitress from a bar he used to frequent downtown. Her name was Tessa. I only knew because Tessa messaged me after the slideshow night. Her DMs started like this: "Hey, you don't know me, but I saw your name on Daniel's phone months ago. I just found out you were engaged. I didn't know. I'm so sorry. We met for coffee. I told her everything. She cried. Said he told her he was single. That Patty met her once, too, introduced herself as just a family friend. I couldn't believe it. Patty knew about this girl too. I asked Tessa if she'd be willing to share her story. She agreed. She was angry. Embarrassed. Hurt. So I gave Patty one last chance. I messaged her privately. Take down the post. Stop spreading lies about me. I know everything. You knew about Diane. And about Tessa. If you want this to stay a family embarrassment and not a public spectacle, I'd stop now. She replied, "Do what you have to. But no one will believe you." Challenge accepted. I waited one more day. Then I uploaded a video to my own profile. I tagged Patty. I tagged Daniel. I tagged every single one of their friends who commented on her post. It started with me speaking calmly, holding my phone, no makeup, no filters. I wasn't going to do this publicly. But since Patty made it public, I'll respond publicly. Then I told the whole story. From the first insult, to the shower toast, to the texts, to the slideshow, to Tessa and Diane. I read their messages out loud. Showed the evidence. Blacked out faces were needed but kept the words intact. Then I said the words I knew would burn, and to Patty, who knew her son was cheating, who laughed as he lied, and who blamed me when it all fell apart: I hope you watch this and feel what I felt in that bathroom during the bridal shower. Alone. Humiliated. And done pretending. I posted it. Within hours, it had 3,000 views. Within 2 days, 30,000. It spread beyond just my circle. People love a good wedding gone wrong story, especially when it ends with truth on tape. But the twist? The company Daniel worked for saw the video. His firm had a strict code of conduct policy. Affairs between co-workers were a fireable offense. He was let go. Tessa confirmed it. Patty? She tried to post again. This time about being cyberbullied and targeted by cancel culture. No one believed her anymore. Her own sister messaged me and said, "We didn't know it was that bad. I'm sorry. People stopped returning her calls. Stopped inviting her to events. As for Daniel, he emailed me. No subject line. Just one sentence: I made a mistake. I didn't reply. But I wasn't done. Because Patty still had one more secret. One she thought I'd never find out. A few weeks after the video blew up, things went quiet. For a while. No more smear posts. No more messages from Daniel. I was starting to sleep better again. I even went out with some friends and really smiled for the first time in months. But then Ellie called me one night. Her voice was sharp. You're gonna want to sit down. She had been talking to one of her friends, someone who worked at the same real estate firm Daniel used to work at. And that's when she dropped the bomb. Patty had used her connections to get Diane hired there. Let me break that down. Months ago, before Daniel even officially started cheating, Patty had met Diane through a mutual acquaintance. She liked her. Liked her more than me. And according to Ellie's source, Patty had told a friend at the firm to put in a good word for Diane and help get her an interview. So not only had Patty known about Diane, she had orchestrated her son working with the woman who would become his affair. It made sense now. Why Diane had slid into Daniel's life so easily. Why Patty always brushed off my suspicions. She wasn't ignoring the signs. She was planting them. I was stunned. Sick, even. This wasn't just passive-aggressive insults or behind-my-back gossip. This was sabotage. I still had a folder of everything. Every screenshot, every message, every date. But now? I had motive. I had a pattern. And I had names. So I went back to the same lawyer I'd talked to when canceling our wedding contract. A no-nonsense woman named Grace who didn't blink once during my entire story. I told her everything about the hiring, the affair, the mother-in-law involvement, the public defamation. And she said, this isn't just drama. This could be interference. I filed a formal complaint to the firm with legal representation, outlining everything. They opened a quiet internal investigation. Diane got let go within 2 weeks. So did the hiring manager who had worked with Patty. Patty? Well, her little network of favors started unraveling fast. Her golf club membership? Gone. She'd been getting discounts through one of the fired employees. Her church group? Someone leaked the video and a copy of the formal complaint. She stopped showing up. And then came the cherry on top. I was contacted by a small local news blogger who wanted to run a story. At first I hesitated. But then I thought about all the women who've been told to keep quiet, to take the high road, while people like Patty rewrite the narrative. So I gave them everything. On the record. Names redacted where needed. The story ran under the headline, From Bride to Burned. How one Florida woman exposed a toxic family and got the last word. The comments were full of support. Other women shared their stories. I felt seen. But I wasn't done yet. Because Daniel? He was back in town. And I had one more thing to say. A month after the article ran, I heard Daniel was back in town. He'd moved in with Patty, which felt fitting. 2 liars in one house, sharing the fallout of their own mess. I didn't plan to see him again. I was finally healing. But fate, or maybe karma, had other plans. It happened at a grocery store of all places. Publix, the one by the water. I was grabbing coffee and strawberries, and there he was standing by the frozen food aisle in a wrinkled shirt, looking like he hadn't shaved in a week. He saw me before I could turn away. Hey, he said, voice low. Tired. I looked him straight in the eye. No, he took a step closer. Please, just let me say something. I let him. Maybe I needed to hear it. Maybe I needed the final nail. I messed up, he said. All of it. Diane's gone. She left when the job fell apart. Mom barely talks to me anymore. You were right. I stayed silent. I thought she was helping me. That she knew what was best. But she pushed me into things. She picked Diane. I don't know. It got in my head. I thought you'd leave eventually anyway. That was it. The truth. The coward's truth. You didn't trust me, I said. You let your mother poison everything. And instead of fighting for me, you handed me over to the wolves. He nodded. I know. I'm sorry. I didn't say I forgave him. Because I didn't. You both broke something you can't fix, I said. You and Patty deserve each other. You always did. He stood there, shoulders slumped, like he had finally seen what he lost. I walked away. Later that week, I got one more message from Patty. Just 3 words, you ruined us. I didn't reply. I printed it, framed it, and hung it in my laundry room. A little reminder. Because no, Patty. I didn't ruin you. You did that all by yourself. I just made sure everyone saw it.